Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. Today we've got a big old trailer, and you know that means we're going towing. The vehicle in question is right here, the 2025 GMC Sierra EV Denali. This thing is absolutely fully loaded, and it's GMC's take on an all-electric pickup truck. So let's go for a ride, tow the trailer, and I'll tell you all about it. And now folks, here we are, pulling a trailer with this Sierra EV. So the trailer we have is probably around 7,500 pounds. It's about 7,000 empty, and then it's got a pallet of shingles inside. So we're also merging onto the freeway right now. A big pain point for a lot of EV customers, or towing customers I should say, not EV customers, and that's because when I put my foot to the floor, it just jumps up to speed. That was up to 75 miles per hour in no time flat. And just like every EV, it's such a drama-free experience. You just put your foot into it, it absolutely jumps to highway speeds. So yeah, merging is never going to be a problem when you have this much power available to you. Now I am in tow haul mode right now, and rather than have me explain to you what tow haul mode does in an all-electric truck, I did an interview with an engineer from GMC, so let's meet Mike now and talk about some of those finer details. Well, Mike, thanks so much for having us out here to drive your great-looking truck. I got a couple questions. I want to start with sort of horsepower and the electric motors.
Sure.
So if you can just walk me through, how many motors are here, where are the motors, and then, how did you achieve the horsepower numbers and the torque numbers in this truck? Because it's obviously different from an ICE motor, and I think we kind of have to shift our thinking away from ICE a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to kind of hear that process.
Yeah, so the Sierra EV Denali is a two-motor system. So it has one motor in the front, one motor in the rear, obviously electronically controlled. So we do a lot of different things. We're working with pedal maps, torque arms, and optimizing where and when we put power to what motor to give that overall feeling. Are we pushing more for an optimized range perspective, or are we driving more dynamically? We need to go to a dynamic split, giving that best feeling for the customer for whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Right. Yeah, and then in terms of horsepower, I mean, what does it take in an EV to hit those numbers? Is it just computer tuning, or what else is involved?
Yeah, so there's a lot of computer tuning that goes into it. It also comes down to the battery itself. So really we get power from voltage and current. So making sure we have our hardware set up in such a way that the voltage is what we need to get our horsepower output numbers.
Gotcha. Okay, the other thing I know is that on the Hummer you have lockers. This truck does not, so how does it go about splitting power left to right if you do get into a low traction scenario?
Yeah, so we have a active e-boost hydraulic, electro-hydraulic brake system. So we're constantly measuring wheel slips, and there's a lot going on underneath the surface, but if you start seeing slip on one wheel, the brake system's going to come in and apply friction braking to that wheel that's slipping, and move that power to the other side of the axle since it's an open differential.
Got it.
And put the power down where we have the capability.
Next up, and again, it's along the same theme for me today, because I just keep talking about and keep thinking about having to shift your thinking from an ICE truck, what we're so used to. And when you mentioned tow haul mode this morning, right away my brain went, well, tow haul mode is usually adjusting your shift points in the transmission. So what is tow haul mode, doing in the Sierra EV that would make towing better?
Yeah, so we have a air suspension system with a semi-active hydraulic damping system as well.
Okay.
So when you hook up the trailer, it's going to automatically level the vehicle again based on that tongue load that comes in. And then tow haul mode specifically, we're modifying some of our pedal progressions. So how do you ramp into the pedal? How does it feel? Bringing in different damping curves. So you put a lot of weight on the rear axle of the truck, making sure that we're adding more damping to keep that controlled and really stable and give you that best towing experience possible.
Got it. So in terms of power delivery, it's just more delivery with shorter travel in the pedal. Is that
it could be, yeah. It depends on, there's a lot of points we can shift in that map, and maybe we want it to be more progressive early.
Okay.
But that gives us a lot of tuning flexibility based off of the team members that are doing that development work.
Yeah, cool. So then further along that idea of trailering, I noticed your charge port is on the rear of the vehicle.
Yep.
You probably know EVs are kind of still all over the place with where
Sure.
they're putting their charge ports. So what was the thinking there? Because it does seem like if you have a trailer and you have to back into a charge spot at a public charger, you're not going to be able to do that. Was that sort of gone over when you guys
Yeah,
were
that's kind of gone
developing?
over, and part of that comes into our partnerships that we're working on with EVgo and Flying J pilot stations, where we're working on building out that infrastructure, getting more pull-through charging spots, so that now with this amazing range that we have, especially when towing, you have more accessibility. It's something that's more available for our customers to hit the road and go where they need to go.
Okay. I have to jump in here to thank the sponsor of this video, 70My Dash Cams. Over the past year, we've had the chance to test 3 cameras from the company, and right now I want to go over the major differences. So we started with this, the 70My Omni. The key selling feature here is a 360-degree motorized head that can turn that camera lens, so you can shoot out your side windows, you can shoot into the vehicle and get fun selfies like this one, and maybe most importantly, when the Smart Park Guardian mode is activated, this thing will use its motion detection to look for motion around your vehicle. If it's detected, it will swivel to make sure it's always shooting right at the correct angle to get what you want to see. Now the Omni shoots in 1080p HD, and if that's not enough resolution for you, you can step up to the next camera, which is the A810. This is basically the flagship from 70My. It shoots in 4K resolution from the front camera and 1080p from the rear. And yes, it has dual channel recording, so you are capturing what's going on in front and out back of your vehicle without needing that swivel head. Finally, we had the A510, very similar to the A810, except the front resolution is 1944p HD. So not quite full 4K, but of course you are going to get this at a more affordable price point. Now there's a bunch of features shared by these cameras. I already mentioned Smart Park Guardian mode. You're also getting advanced driver assistance systems such as lane departure warning. Lane departure. Now there's another new feature I want to tell you about too. That is the 4G module. So if you install this module with your camera, you essentially get connection to your camera anywhere you are on the app on your phone. So you can go in, look at whatever the camera is looking at, a live view of what it's looking at. You can access the footage it has recorded, and then you can also go in there and change up the settings. So you can do a number of different things from a remote location if you install that 4G module. So yeah, 70My has all sorts of different dash cams. They come in different shapes, sizes, and resolutions, but I'm sure one of them will work for you. And after the past year of using these things, yeah, I gotta say that usability is great, understanding it is simple, and installing it's no problem either. So if you're in the market for a dash cam, make sure you check out 70My, and they have Black Friday deals going on right now. If you're interested, the link is down in the description. As I said in the interview, I'm still wrapping my head around a lot of these things on electric trucks that are different from what we're used to with our gas-powered trucks. And I'm also still wrapping my head around this Super Cruise hands-free driving while towing a trailer. This is not new for the Sierra EV. It's been out already on the gas-powered trucks. I've used it pretty extensively, and yeah, we're on a fairly busy freeway here outside of San Francisco, and it does such a good job. It's wild how intuitive it is, because once you take your hands off the wheel, it's nerve-wracking at first, and then you quickly realize that it's in such good control, such fine control of what it's doing, that yeah, you just really get used to it quite quickly. And with the trailer, that is an added challenge, because the truck has to react to whatever the trailer is doing. Especially on a windy day, there's going to be input coming from the rear end of the vehicle that the steering is going to have to counteract. And that's something as a driver, you just sort of learn over time. You feel what the trailer's doing, you understand what the vehicle needs, and it's totally been replaced by this computer brain. Now, I think this system is very impressive, and if I owned it, I would definitely use it for a long drive. It's going to make things less stressful, but I do have to always add in the disclaimer, because it's super important that you realize that the truck is driving for me, but I am at fault if anything happens. So even if the system is to make a mistake, or the system doesn't see a line or a car, I'm going to be at fault. So the driver has to be paying attention. That's the one part of these systems I don't love, that we're not yet at a point where the manufacturers are willing to take on the responsibility if something was to go wrong. So yeah, the systems work great. I do trust it. I think the engineering here is incredible, but you just can't get too complacent. And I do sadly think that a system like this is going to make some complacent drivers. So it's just one thing to always keep in the back of your mind. Let the system do its job, but make sure you are actively monitoring what it is doing, because if there's a problem, yeah, that's on you, not the truck and not GMC. Now let's talk sort of towing dynamics. And it's funny because this story has sort of been repeated over and over with every EV that we've towed with, and this one is no different. You have a big heavy battery pack, it's down in the floor, so right away you've lowered the center of gravity on the vehicle. Not to mention, this truck we're driving here today is nearly 9,000 pounds. And it's just physics. When you have a heavy tow vehicle, it's always going to feel good against the trailer behind it, because the trailer, again, just physically doesn't have the weight to push this truck around. So yeah, towing with this thing, it's amazing. It's honestly a better feeling than with an ICE Sierra, because with the gas engine, you've always for years gotten used to that heavy front end, the light rear end, that changes the dynamics of it, and then once you drop a trailer on it, that changes it again. With this truck, even with the trailer back there, and part of that is the air suspension, making sure we're leveled out, but even with the trailer, the attitude of the truck, the way it drives, it just doesn't change that much. So I will gladly tell you that electric trucks are changing the towing experience for the better. There's just taking so much stress out of it. And if you're new to towing and this is your first towing experience behind the wheel of an electric truck or a Sierra EV, yeah, it's just going to make it so much simpler for people to get in and learn and feel confident towing big trailers. Now, that said, the pain points are still here. You have to acknowledge them. When you put a trailer on, yeah, your range is going to get cut in half. In fact, when GMC gives you its range estimate, the second the truck detects a trailer, it cuts that range by 50%. And then once you start driving, it might add some back on or even take more away, depending on the actual real-time energy usage. But yes, even GMC recognizes that just about any trailer is going to cut your range by 50%. So yeah, shifting off trailering a bit again, and just talking about difference ICE to EV. Yeah. I was also wondering about park. I parked here on this hill. I put it in park, and again, my brain's like, usually there's a parking pawl in the transmission. Yeah. How does a park work on this?
So we still have a park pawl.
Okay.
It's built into the front drive unit itself on this truck. So we're still physically commanding it. And then we also will use the park brakes, depending on the grade that you're parked on. If you're over a 5% grade, we're automatically going to apply the park brakes, keep everything nice and secure, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's almost it. Finally, I'm always curious to hear, what's your favorite part on the truck, especially considering what was the biggest challenge you felt like you guys overcame and you really kind of nailed it? Was there one thing that stands out to you?
I think the hardest thing with any vehicle development program is getting that very fine level of integration. So there's obviously a lot of things going on here. Making sure that the front steer is playing nice with the rear steer, is playing nice with regen braking, friction braking, that it all blends together.
Right.
And it's seamless and very approachable for any customer to come into it.
Right.
That was the big thing that we pushed for. I think we did a really good job with that.
I'll tell you just from my experience, I love the regen on-demand paddle and the fact that it's progressive.
Yes.
So, you just barely touch it, you get a little bit of braking, really grab it, and you really grabs onto the truck.
Yeah.
That's exactly that idea of just making it that much easier for customers.
Yep.
And yeah, I really appreciate that. And I do have one more, I just remembered. I want to talk to you about GVWR. Yep. So here, you're 10,500 pounds. Technically pushing into a 3/4 ton truck by government classification.
Sure.
How does that change anything? The engineering process, or how you have to regulate the truck, or rate the truck, I should say, for range? How does that play into it?
So when we're developing this truck early on, we have a good idea of what it's going to weigh, and we develop the parts, all the components of the truck for what we know that's going to be. So it's not like we didn't realize something. We knew it all going in.
Right.
As far as range, yes, it is. This is technically considered a heavy-duty truck.
Yeah.
That's why you have the flat glass mirror on the side. It's a regulatory thing.
Okay.
But that's also why it's a GM estimated range. But we do use the same exact process that we use for actual EPA certification on our light duty variants.
Got it.
So it's real world, definitely going to achieve it. Not playing with funny numbers on that.
Cool. Yeah. And yeah, we know the truck is heavy, probably mostly based on the battery pack. And how big is the battery pack?
It's a little over 200 kilowatt hours.
Gotcha. I think that's it for me, Mike.
Cool.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate
it.
Now, I do also have to show you guys that I have been having a bit of an issue with the center stack here in the truck that we're towing with. It doesn't want to go back to certain screens. Like, I'm hitting this home button. This should bring me back to the screens with all the apps laid out, and it's not doing it. And then even down here where it says drive modes, it should actually be showing me my drive modes, but it's not doing anything there either. Can I change it? Oh, apparently I can change it. Let's change it to trip. But the square stays black. And, yeah, what can you say? Modern vehicles, it's all technology, and it's all wonderful right up until it's not working right. And, yeah, sadly, this is not working right. I want to get back to the energy efficiency screen to show you guys how many kilowatts we're burning, but at the moment, I can't get there from here. And let's talk a little bit more about the range. So I will first of all tell you it's a windy day where we're driving. And yeah, there's tons of hills around here. We're just outside of San Francisco, so it's super hilly. So up and down lots of hills, quite windy. And at the moment, that's giving us an average of 1.1 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, General Motors still hasn't confirmed the exact size of the battery pack in this truck. Right now, all they'll say is that it's over 200 kilowatt hours. I've seen estimates around 212, most people think. But yeah, they haven't actually said what the official number is, which is a little bit frustrating. But yeah, if you're getting 1.1 miles per kilowatt hour and you have roughly 200 kilowatt hours, you're talking about 200 miles. So that's, a little bit less than half the range if we were towing this trailer. The other thing that struck me on this truck, same as Silverado EV, is they put the charging port on the rear quarter panel, which, I guess makes sense if you're backing into your house or your garage, but if you have a trailer on, you can't back into a charge port. Now, I guess we're going to get more pull-through chargers soon, but as of today, for towing, yeah, the location of the charge port is not ideal in my eyes either. And obviously there'd be added cost, maybe a bit of complexity. What I would love to see is multiple charge ports. I'd love to see one in the back and in the front to once again give a consumer more choice, especially if you're towing a trailer and you might be constricted with the size of it. When it comes to towing equipment, everything you want is here. We do have an integrated trailer brake controller. That's important. You already heard about tow haul mode. Then we have GM's whole suite of trailering apps and technology. So we have the light check system. That'll check your lights for you. We also have the vehicle combined gross weight alert. And funny enough, it's actually gone off. You can see it there on the screen. It tells me right now that the trailer may be over my gross combined weight rating. Now, what's interesting is that GMC doesn't have scales on board like Ford, so it's not actually weighing the trailer. It uses the load put on the propulsion system to calculate the weight of that trailer. And there is no way we're over our gross combined with that trailer. Even maxed out, that trailer can only be a little bit under 10,000 pounds. Tow rating here is 10,000. So we're not over, but it's telling us we might be. And I'm thinking that's because it's really windy today. And again, we're going up and down all of these hills. So I wonder if you catch a gust of wind just right while you're pulling uphill, and suddenly, because you get more load on the system, the truck thinks that we're overweight. But yeah, still nice to have all of these systems for trailering, just to give you, a little bit more peace of mind, especially the integrated trailer brake controller. That's incredibly important. Another important note I should throw out there is there's no equalizing hitch on this trailer either. At this weight, yeah, you might want to think about an EQ hitch. And even in the wind today, though, I haven't been feeling any sway from the rear end whatsoever. So that just even further reinforces my point that towing with this thing is such a confident, comfortable experience. The other thing which changes the towing experience positively in my mind is the regenerative braking. So you can use one pedal drive here, which means that as you lift off the accelerator pedal, that regen is going to kick in, and you essentially never need to actually use the brake pedal. But what I really like on this truck is the paddle up here in my left hand. This is regen on demand. So right now I'm not using one pedal drive because, again, personally, I like not having to change my habits to get used to the one pedal. So here I can totally drive it like I would normally drive a gas-powered truck. You can lift off and the truck will coast. And let's say there's a stop sign coming up, so I lift off, I coast, and then I start to grab this handle, and it's progressive. So I can just grab it a little bit, or then all of a sudden grab it a lot, and the truck will come to a stop, let it go, and away you go. So you can really think about it as a brake that's being controlled with your left hand. And I really appreciate the functionality that it's progressive, that it's not just an on or off proposition. And it does take a little bit of getting used to. Again, it is a different system than what you're ever going to find in a gas truck. But once you get used to it, really intuitive, easy to use, and the fact that you're towing a trailer means you have all this weight, all this momentum. You want to gain back as much power as you can using the regen. So yeah, use the paddle up here, forget about your brake pedal. You're going to get back as much power as possible, and even with the trailer on, it's stopping all of this weight just really easily. So in the name of controlling your load, the regen braking is also a really good system. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this one. Now, I did mention them in the video. Yes, there are still pain points when it comes to towing with electric vehicles in terms of how long it takes to charge, public infrastructure, the fact that the charge port is on the back here. So there is no doubt, if you want to do regular towing with this truck, you're going to have to shift your mindset and your lifestyle a little bit. But let me tell you, if you're willing to make that change, you will not be disappointed by the towing experience. Handling that trailer today really felt like nothing. So yes, towing something big like that with an electric truck like the Sierra EV is easier than ever. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. I'd love to hear from you. Drop into the comments. Let me know what you think of this new Sierra EV. And we also have a video here on the channel with the Silverado EV. We got a chance to tow with that, so make sure you go check that out. And then don't forget, while you're down there leaving me that comment, hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of Truck King. Then come right back here to the channel, see what we're testing next. See ya, folks.